Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the FireStorm podcast. Today is, part 2 of anime reviews?
Yeah,
and
our second official anime review.
Yeah, second anime review. And on this episode, we're going to be talking about a show that is controversial, to say the least, but we're a few years too late to the party. It's Shārotto.
Well, when you say controversial, I don't think... Overall, the anime is pretty critically acclaimed. It's just the ending did leave a sour taste in people's mouths. And
understandably.
Yeah, I don't blame them for that. So yeah, things... We when talking about what anime we wanted to watch, I think it was like a month or two ago, you said, just watch Shārotto, and I've got things to say. And I'm just like, fair enough, I like the show, let's get into it. And
yeah, well, you were the one who told me to watch it, so I was like, when I watched it, it was like, I still have things to say. I don't know if I remember all those things that I had to say, but a month ago, but I might have written them down somewhere. I'll go look for them. But
well,
anyway,
I'll hopefully remind you because I've watched all of the dub in the past, and then for this, I decided to watch all of the sub. But I only got up to episode 10 because I have a life and I've had things to do, but nice. I remember most of it for the most part. Also, this show, I really like it, but then people give me shit for another reason because so Shārotto, as far as I'm aware, is directed, or at least it was somewhat created by the same guy that made Angel Beats.
Mm-hmm.
And
isn't that one of those trash shows?
No, Angel Beats is really
okay. I've never seen it.
It's a bit older, but it's really critically acclaimed. It's got a very similar premise to Shārotto. Very similar. It focuses heavily on the music and school kids trying to find their way through the afterlife or something like that. But the overall premise of the show is very similar to Shārotto in its own way, and that's because they have the same creator. And I believe both were originally just animes, like they were original animes. They weren't adaptations.
Gotcha.
And the one thing that pisses people off is I say I like Shārotto, but I didn't like Angel Beats because. Spoilers, if you... I know you haven't seen it, but
I don't give a shit.
Spoilers, they literally already start off dead, and they have to make their way through the afterlife, and then they gain powers and whatnot through the afterlife, or I don't know how, and then the cast is, way too fucking big, and then you don't figure out, half the people's backstories. And... The thing I've noticed, at least with both animes, that is an issue, is they try to cram so much stuff into the show that the pacing is just so fucking quick. And that is one big criticism I have of Shārotto. It has a lot of things it wants to do, so it rushes all of them.
Yeah.
And... I understand why, but still, it's kind of it's not what I'm used to, but I still... Something about the anime, the anime, its music, its art style, its acting, its writing, it's all really good.
But the writing specifically is really good.
Yeah, it just all goes by way too quickly.
Definitely. I was gonna say, the thing is, there's a lot to like about Shārotto, but when it comes down to Shārotto as a whole, as an experience, I almost look back on it what the fuck did I just see? Because, and I think we'll get into this later, we can start right now, because I have a few things to say, some of the big criticisms I have about it, but I guess I'll just go ahead and talk. Who cares? But basically,
I do have a few episode breakdowns, but go ahead because
okay. Well, basically, as a whole, Charlotte was a very strange experience. Like you said, it's not written and it's not scripted and it's not like it's a little bit different from your typical anime experience. And I think that is. I don't know if that is down to it not having any source material, if it is in fact an original anime, but either way, it's just it tries. Charlotte specifically, haven't seen Angel Beats, but Charlotte specifically tries to be way too many things in one show. Like it's almost like it can't decide what it wants to be and has to jump between all of them to make it to like include everything that the creator wants to include. Yeah. And I think the intro is actually really good, but it's the transition from that first episode intro and like, you know, it's weird because in that first episode they build up this one girl who like, you know, who's the top of the class or whatever, like the, you know, way out of this guy's league, but he goes on a date with her anyway, and then she shows up like maybe once or twice after that first episode. So yeah. And after that she just doesn't matter, and even when she does show up, her actions are pretty much just inconsequential on the whole. So it's weird. It's like it's almost like the intro just didn't matter. So because everything that happened after the intro just almost didn't play into the rest of the show. So when I see a first episode, I want to see, like, you know, introduce the premise of the entire show. But instead we have this where it intros, you know, the main character and, you know, maybe teases a couple of the other main cast, but that's about it. Like the first episode is almost entirely inconsequential. So, but from there, it's like it jumps to being like almost a sitcom. Well, okay, it's like it jumps to being like a school anime for a bit, and then what else? There's like it's almost like a sitcom, like around the middle, or the beginning to the middle. It's like a sitcom almost, like where each episode focuses on like a different powered person they want to go find. Yeah. By the way, if you haven't seen Charlotte, this is going to make absolutely zero fucking sense. But so please make sure you watch it before you watch this. But it's like they go to each episode, they go and find like another person with a power, like the guy, the pitcher guy, who's like a star baseball player, but uses his power to pitch faster than light or whatever. He does.
He uses telepathy in order to move the ball wherever he wants.
Yeah. So he's got a nasty curveball. And there's like the one guy who can fly. Like I actually kind of liked that. Like it didn't feel like that was where the show was going at first, but like for those few episodes where it was like just kind of a sitcom where they would go search up the people, and, you know, eventually they ran into the blonde chick who has her sister come back from the dead to invade her body. It's all like pretty fun. Like it took me a while to get on board with, what's her name? The white hair chick. Remind me.
Tomori, like Nao Tomori.
Yeah, now. So it took me a while to get on board with her because she seemed, especially like the first bit, like 3 or 4 episodes or so, she seemed just like not super interesting. But as it went on and like introduced more aspects of her character, like how she the Z End, I think is the band name, and her brother and all this other stuff, like there was a lot going for her as it went later on in the show, but it took a while for me at least to get on board with her because she was kind of a dick in the first like few episodes.
I think that was the point. She was purposely set up to be just a bit annoying with her attitude and just the way she takes care of and
she was a smartass, and there's things to like about a smartass girl like that, but it's just, I guess for me it was like, if that was the point, then good job. But because I was indeed very annoyed. But then it just kind of gets weird. Like from there, it jumps from like sitcom to like melodramatic, like almost family thing. Like when his sister dies. Spoilers. When his sister dies. And this just, and you know, what they spend like a whole episode where he goes off and like goes fucking ballistic and nuts and starts shooting people. What does he do? He goes off and
he falls into a deep depression, and he uses his powers to basically get people to beat the shit out of each other. Yeah. So he can just wander around doing whatever he wants without any consequences.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just becomes a fucking asshole. And he has to leave his house because the government's after him.
Yeah. And then turns out Tomori was there watching him the entire time. Yeah. That was a bit weird to me, to be honest. Like, you know, why did you just watch him the whole time? I mean, I think she explained her reasoning for that. But I can't remember it. It was just bizarre. Like that, I don't think that needed to be an entire episode because the reason I say that, I think the episode in itself was good, but then to have him transition from that super depressed state almost immediately back to, you know, kind of comparatively normal was kind of bizarre. It was another weird jump.
Again, yeah, as you say, that's another issue with the pacing I found. He started off the episode with, I gotta get the fuck out of here because the government's now after. No, he started off the episode with just eating cupped noodles. Yeah. And then halfway through it, the government started like knocking on his door, and he's just like, I better get the fuck out of here. They're gonna kidnap me. So he fucks off to what is basically a capsule hotel, and then eats pizza, and then gets addicted to shooting video games and shooters. Becomes a dick in real life because he's just like, wow, getting people to beat each other up and stabbing them with sticks is so much better in real life. And then he falls deeper into depression to the point where he's willing to take drugs, and then that's when Nao comes in and it's just like, bitch, no.
And basically, like, I mean, I guess you could argue like, oh, she has just that big of an effect on him, but again, I think it was still a weird jump.
I think the reason she mentioned she was... I'll get into it in the episode breakdown, but the reason she said she was there was because she felt like she knew Ayumi, Yuu's sister, was going to be an issue and should have done something about her ability sooner. And because she didn't, Ayumi got into trouble and ended up fucking dying.
Yeah.
But even that in its own way was really fucking weird. I'll get into it later, but... Yeah.
It is bizarre. And then from there, it's like, okay, before I actually go on, I want to say, I actually really liked... For one, I really liked the girl, the blonde chick. What's her name? Can you remind me?
The blonde chick the idol?
Yes.
Yusa?
Okay, that's right. So I liked her and how her sister would come back to invade her body and like wreck shit. I thought that was funny. She didn't have a huge impact on the plot. She was just kind of there. And like, what's the other guy's name? The
Takajo.
fast guy.
Takajo. He's the fanboy.
Oh yeah, he's hilarious. He is absolutely hilarious.
He's really funny.
He's so really funny. But it's like after the show kind of becomes like, it like starts taking itself too seriously in the later half. It's almost like those two don't fit in anymore. Like, it's weird. And I really liked those two. Not necessarily for like how they're in-depth characters or their character progressions, but just because I think they just added a nice dynamic to the arc, especially when they were going around like with the whole sitcom gag where they would go around and talk to people and tell them about how their powers are bad and shit.
Yeah, their presence and more upbeat attitude really lended a hand to Nao and Yuu, who were a bit more
too serious. Yeah,
a bit more serious. Like their upbeat attitude really like gave another flavor of comedy to the show.
Yes,
and I will admit Takajo's fanboying was very annoying. It
did get annoying, after a while.
But then there were moments where it was genuinely like, this is just good comedy, and I'm going to leave it like that. And then it gets way too far. But, but,
so like, after all this other crap, like, pretty much after he goes into depression or whatever, He basically comes out, and that's where the Z End concert is, right? Around that time?
Yeah, so after the episode with the episode where he's like depressed and everything, and Nao helps him, they return to the school, and he's just like, all right, time to adjust.
And he meets Nao's brother for the first time.
No, he met Nao's brother like at the very episode 2 or 3.
Oh, okay, yeah. And he meets the singer of Z End who's blind. That's right.
Yes, okay. That was episode 8.
That was really good. I actually really liked that.
That was my favorite episode of the whole show.
Yes, that was great.
Was incredible. Yeah, he meets the singer of The End.
Yeah. Again, it's almost like it's kind of weird, right? Like it doesn't quite fit in with. I mean, okay. To be honest, his sister kind of dying and then him getting really depressed about it. That was a weird jump for the show to begin with, but then to jump straight from that to the episode where he meets the singer from Z End, it's like another big jump in the tone of the show, like the overall tone. And I think it is a good little section, like episode 8 and 9. And then he just, he collapses at the Z End concert. Yuu does.
See that's what fucked me up. Like the jump from oh yeah, okay, your sister's dead and you're depressed. Okay, that I thought was a bit much of a leap, especially with how the situation came to be, like with like his sister's friends like being assholes and then one of them trying to kill her. Like that was just way too much of a leap of my imagination. That was just like, you haven't been building to this. This is just fucking out of nowhere.
Yeah, exactly.
And then him being depressed, I understood they needed an episode to deal with that because like I think it genuinely tackled depression in a somewhat good way.
Yes, I agree.
Despite him becoming a dick, but then like him starting to transition back to school life, I appreciated that. And then like I thought the inclusion of I believe I wrote down the singer of Zien's name, like Salah Shane, that is her name, and I thought that episode was really good because
it was really good.
It's because for the previous episode we've been focused on Yuu, and now I reckon this episode, because it's mostly focused on Yuu and Salah, it works because it's trying to show him overcoming his battles now that he's in a better mental state and he's still trying to overcome everything. So I think I like that they stuck with him for a bit. Yeah. But then episode 9 is the concert, and like the introduction of Nao and you going to the concert was adorable. That was awesome.
Yes, I agree.
But then him basically taking LSD and having a flashback to the fucking facility where he's listening to music and his sister's alive and he has a brother and all this shit. And then all that escalating incredibly quickly. Like that's what fucked me over, because I was just like... Yeah,
that's a very weird transition, to say the least.
They hinted, like, twice that he might have a brother. And then they actually... The one thing that... See, I thought it was fucked, but it kind of worked in its weird way, but I still didn't like it, because they were talking about to every single one of these people that they were stopping from using their powers, that if you get kidnapped, you'll be taken to a facility and used in government experiments. And look what happened. Because of the time leap, and they all did get caught, and they're in a facility being tested by the government. And it's like... So this is what actually would have happened if Nao and the group didn't interfere. This is the facility. And, like, I understood what they were doing. I did get it, but for the tone of the show up until this point, I just don't think it fitted.
No,
I think maybe...
It's weird placement.
I think if it was, like, this is how they bring... I reckon if, like, there was a season 2... And the facility and the time leap was the premise of season 2, I think that could have blended in better.
That would have worked so much better.
Yeah, because they needed... what was it, like the one episode? I think it was... in episode 9 alone. Episode 9, they introduce the facility, they talk about everything, and then Ayumi gets taken off to be tested, and then one nice scientist amongst the whole complex lets you out and says your sister's going to be tested on. She's going to be dissected because of her unique power. Let's get the fuck out of here. So then... And then they say, oh, by the way, Yu has an extra power called Plunder in which he can take everyone's powers. And it's like, what? And then he takes everyone's powers and he gets the fuck out of the facility, goes back to his normal time, where he's in a hospital bed and Nao's there waiting for him to get up. And then they're like, oh, by the way, yeah, your brother's actually real. He's not just a figment of your imagination. And then they go see him. And it's like, what? That was such a big jump. Like, 2 episodes ago, you were depressed. The episode before that, we were doing all nice, friendly shenanigans where we were hanging out with the gang. And now you can take everyone's powers and you have a brother that's leading a facility of superpowered people. It's like, okay, Jesus fucking Christ. Jeez, settle down. It's like, yeah.
Yeah, I think the placement of that, like the whole, just the facility thing in the middle of episode 9, I'm not a fan of that. Like, okay.
No.
Just like how you said, if it had a season 2 and this, like, instead this was the premise of season 2, like the last few episodes of season 1 were instead made into a season 2 and like extended over a lot more episodes, that would have been so much better. Like, imagine if instead of the way it went, like that episode where he's super depressed is like, you know, maybe if there's 12 episodes in the season, you could say the episode where he's depressed is 11, and then episode 12 they kind of conclude it, I guess, but like restore things back to normal, and then come season 2, that's when it all starts to kick off with the facility bullshit. Like that would have been paced so much better.
I'd like to argue that the ending with the Z End concert should have finished it, because then I to think that maybe if the depression state and all that arc was taken care of in maybe 2 episodes, then him starting to adjust to normal life, meeting Salah and helping Nao's brother, and then going to the concert. Like, imagine the end of season 1 with an awesome rock concert. And it's just like, all right, this is my new life. My sister's gone, but I have to move forward for her. And now I kind of like Nao. Like, because they were really strongly pushing them to at that point. And then like I would have loved if season 1 ended there. Yeah. But then I thought what would be fucking awesome is that, like, so have you seen Code Geass?
No.
Well, basically,
spoiler.
Not a massive spoiler. The end of season 1 and the start of season 2, there's basically a massive jump back to kind of normality because the main character had a few of his memories rewritten. Mm-hmm. I'm imagining season 2 just bluntly, out of nowhere, starts off in the facility, and then it builds up to the fact that Yu, like, fell over at the fucking concert, or he had a fucking time leap. Like, I imagine, like, if there was for a few episodes, we're all stuck in the facility with him, not sure what the fuck's going on, and then it's hinted at that because of the time leap that his brother had, he fucking had, like, he had that problem at the concert, and then he wakes up again in hospital and things are explained from there. Mm-hmm. Like, if it was paced better and there was a season 2 for the whole facility arc, I reckon it would have made so much more sense. And
so much more sense.
But yeah, I'm not sure what else to say, but I do want to get into the episode breakdown. If you have nothing else to add to this,
I don't.
Point.
I'm gonna just say that the last bit was convoluted and strange.
Yes.
I mean, I'm not even just talking about the last episode. The last 4. it almost felt like it was like forcing this. I mean, I liked the idea, right? I liked the idea of the plot they were going for, but it was such a big jump in tone, and just it kind of came out of nowhere, and I was really confused by it. Like it introduces like a bunch of new characters on like episode 10 of the show.
Yeah,
it's like, what exactly is going on? And then like, you know, does the big brother, he dies, right?
No.
The older brother, he doesn't die. What happens to him?
I swear I remember I swear I remember in the last episode, like, he is the one that reaches out to you when he's been shot and then grabs him.
I thought he does die. Doesn't he get buried in like the house, like the big building that they deal with? I feel like he does die. I can't remember.
Let me check that. I don't exactly remember,
because I feel like everyone got pissed at him because they blamed him for it. Yeah, no, at you, because they blamed him for the older brother's death. Hold
on. The Wikipedia article wasn't helping. Fuck. Let me
almost
search
positive
up.
that happens, but either way, it's like, don't get me started on the last episode. I'll have words, but yeah. And instead of that, it's like, you know, I kind of get what they were going for, I guess, but it's like, I don't know. I'm not quite on board with it. Like, it just didn't quite work when they were trying. Like, I don't know. But yeah,
I'm pretty sure the brother survives. I think there is like a small arc in which, like, maybe back in the facility he's given shit or something like that because of his brother. But no, I believe he's alive at the end of the anime.
Interesting. Yeah, I believe you're right.
Yeah, very strange. But yeah, no, the ending was just way too fucking out of left field. But I'll break down some of the episodes just to get into it. So yeah, episode 1. I back to what you were saying about episode 1, how it was setting up a premise that was never followed up. Essentially, it was setting up this idea of you being like, I have this power and I use it to cheat, get bitches, and do whatever I want. And he's like, he's abusing his power, and he uses his power, and his cockiness puts a girl's life at danger just so he can be heroic and save her so he can go on a date. It works, but then he's caught out for using his power by Nao. And then basically the setup I kind of get, because Nao and Takajo, basically they do to you what they do to everyone else during the rest of the season. They confront him, tell him to not use his powers, and say, hey, if you're attending school, come attend our school instead.
Yep.
They do that, and they're like, alright, fucking sick. But then they make you join the student council for some reason. Probably because his power is useful. But, yeah, so Tomori, like, now Tomori is introduced as just a smart ass, and she can rub people off the wrong way. I still thought she was pretty cute, though. I don't know why. It's just me. I think I talked about her in the waifu episode, I think. I thought I like her. And they quickly establish points that, like, Yu and Ayumi are by themselves, their parents aren't there, and then they hint at their relationship, like a strong brother and sister connection, and then Takajo gets moments to be funny in this episode as well, and the powers themselves are the story itself has an interesting premise. Some people in their adolescence retain powers which are not exactly full, but they're good enough to do incredible shit with. And after the adolescence, by the time they've graduated, the powers should disappear. And to not draw attention to this and to not be studied by the government, Nao is taking it upon herself to go and gather a group of people to help to prevent people from using their powers. But then it's revealed later on that it's not just Nao's initiative, it's Yuu's brother who started this whole fucking rebellion facility bullshit. I don't remember. But that was the other thing that fucked me over, is that Nao is just like, oh yeah, you stop using your powers and join the student council. And it turns out his older brother is the one that started this whole rebellion. It's just like, what a coincidence. Oh,
wow.
Fuck. Yeah. One thing I do love, and I want to give props to, the OP, the visuals and the music in the OP is fucking awesome.
Yes, the opening visuals are really good.
The stars and the connection of all the characters. Tomori, even her little dance, I don't know why I thought it was cute. Her MP3 player falling with the end playing on it.
Yep.
And then the sunset and the music, it was all really awesome. I like it. One thing I wrote about Tomori, and one reason she stands out, even though she's a bitch, is that her design is actually pretty unique. Red blazer, yellow ribbon, big motherfucking blue eyes, and silver hair?
Yeah.
White hair. Like, she's got a very unique design compared to the rest of the students. What else did I write? The combo of the three of them using their powers is pretty good. It has a real dry sense of humor. Like, some of the comedy is just out there and obvious, but then some of the comedy is more dry and not really pushed that much. But I saw reviews not only from My Anime List and other people that the humor is similar to Seraph of the End, which is another show I quite like. And I agree. It's got a very similar humor, and I appreciate it because it's not that, apart from all the idol gushing stuff, it's not like trash humor or toilet humor. It's not the type of humor that's done just because it's an anime. It's actual decently written humor, and Takajo flying through the air and stealing
that
food
is
and
incredible.
always coming out with scars, always coming out with blood on his head. I don't know, that's just funny to me. But then in episode 2, they straight away get to the point of Nao's family troubles and her brother's ability and her brother being fucking maniac because he's been studied on.
Mm-hmm.
And then I wrote that I'm glad the plot was explained that way, because Nao is working with a few students who have abilities to inform those who abuse their powers about what could really happen and to make sure they aren't kidnapped by scientists. If the show continued along that route, which it kind of did, but then introduced this whole fucking other cast of people that are doing the same thing Nao is, that was not needed, but it happened.
Oh well.
If it stuck with the original premise, I feel like it could have worked. I do feel like that. You're right. The setup, what they were going for in episode 1, compared to what actually happens throughout the show, that was kind of off. But I still think it worked in its own way because they did to you what they are doing to everyone else. So it kind of works. Another thing I wrote, I'm up to episode 3 at this point. I'm not really acknowledging the episodes, I'm just talking.
Fair.
Feel free to jump in whenever you want.
I ain't got much to say. Not until we get to the last episode.
Bro, I have a lot to say always about anime, because when I like an anime, I properly get into everything about it. So.
Fair.
I appreciate the actual animation itself in the show, because in episode 3, it started off literally with someone's phone buzzing, and the subtle animation of it vibrating and moving across the table was done so well that it's just you don't usually see that sort of care being put into a shot.
Mm-hmm.
And I thought that was really fucking good.
Yeah.
Episode 3 was the whole thing about Yusa and her sister Misa taking over her body. That's when they were introduced. That was pretty interesting, I will admit, because Yusa's power, whether she knows about it or not, is to let other people like possess her body. And then her sister, who has pyrokinesis, does that. It's like,
pretty much. Wow. How convenient.
But, yeah, the mini episode in this with Yusarin stealing the phone of some talent agencies and all that shit, and then the way they take care of that, and even Misa's friend, his confession to Misa, and how he ended up getting her killed, and he is upset for that. The little plot in this episode I actually really liked. I think it worked well, and I'm glad they took care of it quickly, because this stretching on for 2 episodes would have been a pain. But they took care of it quickly, and I like it. And one quote from Misa at the end was, "Don't keep dragging the dead into your life. Otherwise your life would get screwed up and you won't be happy in the future." Which, harsh.
Yeah.
But truthful.
Yeah, I mean, just, I don't know, the way things, like, from... I like the transition they make from, like, episode 1 to, like, how it is in the next few episodes, like the end of episode 1. But I'm just confused as to why that first episode, like, you know, the first, maybe 15 minutes of episode 1 even exists at all. Like, it's because it just doesn't matter. Except for, like, that one chick who's kind of there, and then Yuu gets rejected or whatever. I don't know, something happens. But, I mean, like, and I mentioned, I kind of like the whole, like, little sitcom vibe it has going for it, and I like that they introduce, Nao's brother from fairly early on, because it kind of gives you something to think about as you're watching. Like, you know, it gives them motivation for what they're doing, which is good. They need that.
Yeah.
But it's just, I don't know. I really enjoyed it, but I don't know. Looking back on it, it's almost like, what's the point? Because eventually he just, you know, ends up just going around the world to do all that shit anyway by himself. So
yeah,
it was fun. Like, it was really fun for what it was, and I almost wish they had kept doing it for longer. But just, man, yeah, I don't know.
I get what you're saying. Like, the contrast between how the show wraps up and then the direction they're going in like most of the show, like with the sitcom and the little self-involved episodes, like the episode with Yusa and Misa, and then the baseball episode, and then even the OVA was based on a girl whose power is that she makes everyone's thoughts be spoken out loud. Like, I understand what you're saying, and I agree that the sitcom style that they started with was very good. The first 15 minutes of the first episode, I also get what you're saying there, but I think that was just to set up you as a dick so he can be redeemed later on. I mean, could they have gone about it a different way? Probably.
Yeah. I mean, I get it. Like, I get what they were going for. It's just like, I don't know, just looking back on it, it's like, what is the fucking point of this?
Yeah. And especially like the immediate jump of, he's a dick. He uses his powers to cheat. He does all this, and he nearly killed a girl just to date her. And then now comes in, fucking axe kicks him in the head, and then says, "You're coming to our school." And then all of a sudden, his sister is there, and he's apparently a really sweet big brother, even though he was just a dick for the first 15 minutes of this episode.
Yeah.
So it's just like, yeah, that's a bit of a leap, but
it's fine.
they kind of needed to do that just to set up the type of people that Nao and the gang are targeting and why they're doing what they do. But yeah, I get it, but it's a bit of a leap. I'm not really going to go into much of the baseball episode. It was rather heartwarming at the end because it turns out like most of the people they prevent from using their powers, or they're trying to stop each episode, have their own like pure reasons for doing what they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, and the baseball guy was just like, I'm cheating at baseball to get my team to the pro league, mainly because I want my friend to get into the pro league because he works really hard and I think he's the best. And it's just like, heartwarming. Nice. But also the baseball episode was just pretty cool.
Yeah, it was.
I thought it was good. But now I watched the OVA as well.
Mm-hmm.
The OVA, according to all sources, takes place between episode 4 and 5, which makes a lot more sense rather than watching it after the show is finished. But it's not on any legal streaming services, so I had to delve into the internet and find it.
Dang.
So the OVA is basically there just for comedy and like kind of hinting that you might like Nao a bit more. But then, okay, so this OVA, in my opinion, sums up the show in its entirety. It starts off as like a comedy, let's do this, let's try and help this person type show. It shows Nao actually can be a bit sweeter than what she lets on. And you might kind of like her a bit. And then it builds up from there, and then shit happens. But then the ending is like, where the fuck did this come from? My life hurts. So the OVA, I'll tell you about it. I don't know if you've seen it, but the OVA, it starts off like any of the other episodes. Guy who is drenched in water comes in.
Legend.
Drops water onto the map and says, okay, this chick's power, I forgot if it was telepathy, but basically what her power is that she can read minds. No, it's mind reading. Yeah, she can read minds, but the downfall to her power is that when anyone comes in like a 5-meter radius of her, their private thoughts in their head are spoken out loud.
Huh. Oof.
So, because of this, everyone around her, like this chick, she's like younger than you and Nao. She's, I don't know, she's only a little bit older than Takajo. She's rather young. Not Takajo, fucking Ayumi. She's only a little bit older than Ayumi. She's rather young. And, like it shows off that like, she doesn't want to be with anyone because they all start fighting because their private thoughts are spoken out loud. So then Nao says, okay, Yusa and Takajo, you guys go. Because her reason for that being is Takajo's private thoughts about Yusa will be spoken out loud and that will scar her for life. Which, fair enough.
Yeah.
Fair enough. And she immediately shows trust in Yuu and says, I can trust you because his thoughts... Nao's way of getting around this is that she tells the kid that, we're a comedy duo, and I hit him to... Well, I don't know, like discipline or whatever. I don't know what it is. They play it off as a joke, but it works. And the kid actually likes spending time with the pair and starts saying, "Oh, you two should be a couple," and they're like, "No." But it's like that. It's like that throughout the entire thing. But it still works, and they actually don't argue. And they argue like for the first 2 minutes, and then they realize, oh, wait a minute, we can get around this. So they get around it. It works well, and then they figure out what triggers her power, or what triggered it in the first place. It was that this girl, what's the girl? Iori? That's her name, Iori. Her friends randomly stopped hanging out with her and didn't tell her why. So she wanted to know what she was thinking and know her reason. And then her powers developed.
Okay, makes sense.
So then they think, okay, well, maybe if we approach her friend and figure out the reason, then things will be made clear. So they approach her friend, and this is when her friend tells Nao and Yuu that Iori, this little girl who can read everyone's minds, is dying. She's got an incurable disease and is dying, and her friend didn't want to watch Iori slowly rot away.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, where the fuck did this come from?
Yeah.
She's dying? It's just like, this kid, and then Nao loses her shit at this child, yelling at her and pushing her to the ground, saying, you shouldn't abandon your friends, you dumb bitch. And Nao, like, goes off the fucking walls at her. And then it's like, wow, that was unexpected. But then the episode just kind of ends with Nao and Yuu. It turns out Iori then has to go to the hospital, but her powers are never fixed. She still has her powers. But Iori has to go to the hospital, and now, like, Yuu says, now every week, Tomori and I visit Iori while she's battling this disease. So every week they go and visit her in the hospital.
Mm-hmm.
And then, like, the last scene is now Yuu's thoughts being read out loud, which is, wow, these girls are actually, like, they're really strong. I wish I could be as strong as these people.
Yeah.
And then now it's just like, you what? And then it's pretty sweet though. But fuck, it just jumping from that really sweet plot of trying to help this kid to figuring out she's got a life-threatening disease. Like, it's a curveball you don't expect, and that's Charlotte as a whole.
Pretty much.
So that made me feel things.
Yipes.
Yeah.
That's rough. F's in chat.
F's in the chat for a little girl that dies.
Yep. Rest in peace.
Yeah. Episode 5 is the episode where they go camping because of the flying guy.
Dude, that's kind of epic.
It is. Actually, like, now, Tomori's reason for doing everything, like, Tomori's always got, like, a good sense to plan ahead for things, and it works really well.
Yeah.
And I like the scene where she gives you the MP3 player because he has, like, a fucking vision while listening to the end. Yeah. But the thing I like about this is it really emphasizes that music is important to people. Music can make people feel things that they would never normally feel. And it, like, fucking hits people in a different way. And that I appreciated. And then they also end this episode with, oh yeah, Ayumi is sick. Cool. And then the next episode, episode 6 has perhaps the funniest scene, with Nao drop kicking Takujo out the fucking window.
That one is epic.
Because they make the connection that Ayumi might be developing a power called Collapse. And they're like, ooh, that's not good. And then they go visit her. I'm glad they visit her. Yusa is really sweet because Ayumi sees Yusa as an idol, which she is.
Yep. Idol girl.
And then Yu's comedy is starting to act up at this point. Yu is starting to get a lot more funnier at this point, but
yeah.
Then they hint that Ayumi, like, rejected a guy from her class, and it's like, okay, that makes sense. They're kids, they don't know how crushes are. Like, okay, first of all, I need to figure out how old is Ayumi, because I wrote a paragraph and a half about why kids her age don't act like this. It's purely just for the anime.
Nobody move. I'll pull it up.
I'm pulling it up as well. Ayumi...
She's 12.
Is 12!
She's 12.
So you can assume that her friends in the same year level are about the same age, right?
Yep.
So, in the one episode where Ayumi has to stay home, episode 6, they show that she's visited by a class president, the guy she dumped, and another girl who doesn't say anything but just looks forever mad.
Oh, this chick.
Yeah,
Dang.
Ayumi, although she's getting better, because of her ability, Yu says, stay home for another day, and secretly Nao is trying to figure out something of how to take care of Ayumi's powers. But then Ayumi's just like, no, I'm going to school. She runs to school. Then there's this then the guy that she rejected is the kid. The 12-year-old kid acts really creepy. And then the class president's like, yeah, Ayumi, get out of here. I was like, okay, why is he being creepy? I don't get it.
Yep.
And then the little girl that was angry before has like a fucking switchblade or something. Like, it's like one of those knives that workers use, that like one of the safety blades. She's got a safety, like one of those fucking blades. And she says, me and that guy you rejected, it was me and him, blah, blah, blah. And then she chases her up the fucking to the top of the building trying to stab her. And it's like, 12-year-olds don't feel these things, mate. This isn't how 12-year-olds act.
Yeah, I gotta say, I can't say I've ever seen a 12-year-old try to stab somebody.
No. It was bizarre. And again, they never hinted at this before. They said in the last episode that she rejected someone and then she got sick. There maybe was, like, when they were camping, she coughed once or twice on a phone call to hint that, she's getting sick. But there was no build up to this. It was all of a sudden, these are Ayumi's friends. One of them hates her, one of them's creepy, and one of them's actually pretty nice, but she never gets any screen time. And then she nearly fucking dies, and then she accidentally uses her collapse ability and then actually fucking dies.
Yeah.
It's like...
Yeet?
Yeet? She yeets herself down a building and dies. And then there's this quick scene with like a short-haired, orange-haired chick that runs in and says, we were too late. And then Yu loses his shit trying to find Ayumi and then is crushed by fucking debris. And
rest in peace.
You're left thinking, what the fuck? And it's like, oh god.
I thought that a lot watching this show.
Yeah. And then episode 7 is the depression episode.
And we've talked about that one a bit, so.
Yeah, but the one thing I do want to say is that I think the way they handled the depression, like the way he was feeling, it makes it all actually like felt a bit realistic.
Yes.
You regretting all the things he never got to do, never being able to repay his sister for her kindness. He falls to his knees sobbing, and he's just that's how they open the episode after being told that his sister's dead. Even Misa, in her own way, wanting to help him was really sweet, because Misa's just been a fucking fireball bitch up until this point. Then he stays home, eats a bunch of leftover cup noodles, and then the chick from the first episode rocks up and is just like, I heard about what happened, I want to help. But then it turns out that she might have been sent in by the government because she had a connection to Yu.
Yeah.
Because straight after he gets angry and kicks her out, his front door is knocked on by, I think, the landlord and 2 people from the government. So he takes over their bodies, kills one of them. He actually makes one of them jump from the fucking top of the building. And then he runs away. So the things they hint at about depression, eating terrible food, being lazy, wanting to be alone, addiction, it's all shown here. And then he goes to a small hotel where he watches Angel Beats.
Yeah.
Throw that reference in there, boys. He watches Angel Beats, which is funny. Then him abusing his powers to beat the shit out of people who even slightly annoy him. He gains a reputation for being an asshole. Then he finds drugs and he's just like, well, I've got nothing else to do. He attempts to take the drugs and then now fucking backhands him. Reveals she's been there the whole time.
I've got nothing else to do. Yeet.
Yeet, let's get high.
Yes, sir.
But okay, I will admit the ending to this episode hit me with so many feels. Because throughout every episode up until this point, Ayumi has made Yuu food, which is always drenched in pizza sauce, because when he was younger he loved pizza sauce and it was like a family recipe thing. And every day, like, he had like a packed omelette rice lunch that was always drenched in pizza sauce. And he hated it, but he didn't realize until after she was gone how much he missed it, because Nao says, I will try and change your mind. Give me one shot, I will make you one meal, and if you have one bite and don't like it, you never have anything to do with me again. It turns out Nao has found the recipe book. The recipe book makes the omelette rice that's drenched in pizza sauce. He eats it, and upon his first bite, he's just like, this is exactly the way Ayumi used to make it. He starts crying, and he fucking eats all the food, and he says, I hate it, but I don't know why I'm eating it. And he's like, this was done so well.
Yeah, that was really good.
It was so upsetting, and it hits you in the feels, and then he's just like, well, what are you going to do from here? And now it's just like, well, you said if you ate one bite and you didn't like it, you would leave me alone. You ate the whole thing. So come back to school. And, like, her fucking down-to-earth, no bullshit attitude just makes you go, you know what? You're right. It helps snap him out of it, and then they return. Then he decides to come back to the school, and then episode 8 is where the singer comes in.
Yeah.
I'm only gonna talk about episode 8, and then I'm not gonna talk much about the facility shit because we have things to say about that. But episode 8 is my favorite episode. Starts off with coming back to normal life with Yusa and Takajo in the school, and then you saying something he said here. This cheerfulness that is even annoying. I'm so thankful of it. I think I could spend everyday life like I had always done. So he's starting to appreciate the things he previously took for granted, which is another like important step people have to take in everyday life. Appreciating things, not taking things for granted.
Yeah.
They introduce Yusa Means new song, which they actually play the full thing, which is cool. Mm-hmm. And all the lyrics are kind of hinting about all the lyrics you can kind of take as like a message to you about overcoming troubles and stuff like that. Then they introduce the singer of Sahid, Salah Shane. Just from her introduction, her comedy, her passion for Yu's loss, her dream of and admitting about her past, and then everything Salah does is fucking amazing. I love her character.
She's very compelling, very cool to watch.
Just everything she does, she's fucking hilarious. She's appreciative to all of her fans. She helps Yu at the drop of a hat because she can recognize that Yu has just lost someone, and because of what's happened to his past, he's more considerate of the future. He's being considerate, trying to help Salah, and she even says, that someone's made an impact on your life and you've been through some troubles to get to this point where you appreciate and try to help people more. And it's like, this is all fucking hitting real life. Yep. Like, these are all things everyone can take into real life, and it actually happens. Only when you've been through some deep bullshit do you have a greater appreciation for more things and try to help people more. It's like, all of this is built and told so good. I fucking love it. And then bringing Salah in front of Nao's brother when he's losing his shit, and her singing and her song being able to get through and help break him out of his condition was just so amazing. And then Nao's call to Yuu at the end of the episode saying, he fucking recognized me for the first time in years. Your idea worked. Thank you. Like, everything is so heartfelt, and it's just, fuck. It is amazing. I love this episode.
It was, like, just as a whole, especially coming back from the whole depression shit, it was just so well done. It was one of those, like, really nice episodes to that, like, right after a really depressing one. It's such a good way to, like, spring back from the whole Ayumi dying and all this other crap, and then him getting super depressed. It's such a great way to spring back, and not just that, but, like, increase the, like, go even more in depth into Nao's character, who really hadn't been, like, too much explored too much at the time, because she was pretty much just the smartass that was really good at planning stuff up until this point. So this was a really well done expansion of her character, and not just that, but, like, adjusting you back to everyday life, and even giving, like, having the influence of Sala on him be so noticeable in such a short time is really well done. So I'm on board with you, actually. This is definitely my favorite episode of the whole show.
Yeah. And then they ruin it.
Yeah, pretty much.
Well, the start of episode 9 was good because, like, both of them getting dressed up for the concert, and then now losing her shit over wanting a phone case because it charges her phone. And then, like, everything about it was just like, oh, this is adorable. They're going on a date. And then while watching Saheed live and listening to the song that's literally called Trigger, it triggers him to have a fucking time leap or something like that where he's back in the facility. And then we talked all about this.
Yeah, this is like, oh, God. No, thanks.
Why? Like, he has a power, he actually has a real power called Plunder, where he can take other people's powers. And then he breaks out of the facility, and then he comes back to reality, and then they go to meet his brother? Back, literally, the Wikipedia thing says, back in the present, Yuu regains consciousness, now aware of the fact he has a brother. Yuu are now approached by Kumagami, who then takes them to a secret underground haven to meet Shunsuke. And then, now Legend. I do remember this from the dub, but then episode 10 is kind of about Shunsuke, Kukamari, and
that's where it, like, kind of tells the whole backstory, and it's, like, really convoluted of, like, how they
that's right.
How they, like, start, like, they use his time leap to try to, like, fix everything and, like, make it so that the people with powers have a safe place, which is eventually, like, what became that school that they're in for the first few, like, half the show. So, and it took Shunsuke all of his time leaps that he had available to actually pull that off. So now he can't use time leap anymore. So he has Yuu steal it from him, and now you can use it. Oh, it's because he's blind now. Because he's blind, like, every time you use time leap, it takes part of your eyesight. Takes some of your eyesight away from you, and so now he's blind and can't do it anymore. Because it's like, I think what he, like, they explained it as, like, it's going through your memories visually and rewinding. So if you can't see your memories anymore visually, then you have nothing to rewind to, or something like that. But I mean, it kind of makes sense, but again, it's like a really convoluted backstory. And then everything goes to shit. I think Nao gets captured at some point. And then that's a weird little section. Then Yuu is put into quarantine like we're all doing right now. Yeah, that happens. But then...
Oh, by the way, I love the fact that I actually hate this fact that, by the way, Ayumi's alive.
Yeah, she's alive. She's chilling.
You didn't have to get depressed. She's fine. Yeah. And then it's like, why?
Pranked.
Why would they just retcon that? Like, oh, by the way, no, she's alive.
She's fine. Yeah, I don't know. But, okay, here we go. We're already an hour into this. Let me address the last couple episodes, because this is what...
Yeah, go ahead.
This is where I have words. So, a few things. This is the biggest jump in, like, shift in tone, but definitely the most jarring of the entire show. Because it turns into, like... It turns from... Once they, like, figure out the full extent of Yuu's plunder ability... They're like, okay, well, theoretically, you know, before that, it's like, well, these abilities that the adolescents have are pretty much universally not really a good thing. You know, any kid who discovers they have this power usually use it for mischief or selfish purposes because they don't know any better. So theoretically, Yuu's plunder ability could be used to rid all of the adolescents in the world of who have powers of their powers, so that the powers just don't return. And the source of the power is like, they are explained. It's like a comet called Charlotte, which, you know, there goes the title of the show. Yeah, roll credits. And the comet that passes by is like every 100 years or something. And it's like...
no, hold on. It says here in the Wikipedia thing...
Okay.
That people possess their special abilities as a result of inhaling particles spread by a short-period comet called Charlotte,
yep.
which passes Earth every 75 years.
75, okay. So there you go.
And a vaccine is being prepared before the next pass of the comet.
Yeah, so there you go. So right now, they have 75 years to get that done. Or however many, but, you know. So... Theoretically, this whole wave of powers could be eliminated with Yuu's plunder ability. And then eventually Yuu's power will go away too, and so he'll lose all those powers he has. But up until that point, he would basically be burdened with every single power in the universe should he pull it, or in the world, I guess, should he pull it off. And so basically, this is episode 12. He finally gets the balls to confess to Nao and tells her that he loves her, which, you know, it was built up okay. You know, there were moments here and there where it was like teased that he did love, or like, you know, had a crush on Nao, or however you want to say it. There were moments that teased it, but I don't think, like, I guess it was just a bit surprising, since usually in anime when people confess like that, it's usually after you know, a lot of internal monologue and all this other crap. But this one kind of comes out of nowhere. You know, it not necessarily like bad. It's just a bit surprising. And my biggest problem with this scene in particular is that, you know, it's like Nao says, I will only reciprocate if you go and take every single power from all the people in the world. Like I will only love you if you do this, theoretically really almost impossible task that literally requires you to travel around the world. So
he fucking does it.
So he does it. Good on him for wanting his chick so bad. But like, I don't understand. Like, does she actually like him, or is she just like, yeah, I guess I'll do it if you do this? Like, I don't know.
I think the reason for it, I don't know if it was explained, but I think it was something like Nao's purpose. She feels her purpose is to help stop people getting experimented and tortured on like her brother because of these powers. So if Yuu is able to plunder the abilities and get rid of them, then her purpose will be gone. And then she'll be more open to the idea of a relationship.
That makes sense.
Because she'll have the time for it. I don't know if they explain it that well, but that's what I got from that.
That makes a lot of sense. And I think they do kind of explain that, but it's like, it's still a bit like weird. It doesn't sit right with me.
And I agree. There should have been more of a build-up. They were starting to hint at their relationship with Ayumi, and then in the OVA, people all saying like, "Ooh, you guys are so in sync." And then I feel like if the concert wasn't fucking cut off halfway through, and then it showed them after the concert like gushing about the songs and like really connecting over them more, then I feel like from there a confession would have worked. But you're right, they did kind of drop the "oh, by the way, I like ya." Like,
let's fuck.
It could have been more of a build, yeah.
I mean, the sad thing is, right, okay, the conclusion, okay, the last episode is what really kind of jars me. It's done for what it is, right? It's handled in a really clever way. Because there's a lot of storytelling involved. Before he goes off to travel the world, how long does it take? Does it take a...
Just checking out the thing.
Because I
know it takes a couple years at least, doesn't it?
I don't know. But,
doesn't it take a few years or months?
I couldn't tell you. It might be a few months. Well, it doesn't, I don't think it's a year. But
it doesn't say on the Wikipedia thing, but...
It might be like a full year. I'm not sure. But either way, it's like... So there's a lot of good storytelling here. It's like he has the, isn't it like the little notebook that Nao gave him that he keeps around? It's like the only thing that keeps his existing memories alive. Like, oh, this is why I'm doing this.
Yeah, flashcards or something.
Yeah, flashcards, that's right. Like, of languages. Of like...
yeah, that's right.
Of languages that, like, to help him get by in whatever country he's in.
Nao gives some foreign language flashcards to Yuu, and he gives back her MP3 player as a vow that he will come back to her once the mission is over.
Yes, that's some pretty good storytelling, and we see clips throughout the last episode of her listening to that MP3 player. So yeah, it's handled pretty well for what it is, because he kind of starts going crazy about halfway through with the burden of all these powers. And just not, being pretty much in isolation. I mean, at least social isolation, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. Social isolation, like he's not really talking to anyone, doesn't have any friends. He's just going around stealing powers, and he's got a reputation. What do you remember what they call him? Like the
the one-eyed Grim Reaper.
One-eyed Grim Reaper.
I don't know why he's only got one eye, but
me either. Oh no, he has one of his eyes got fucked. I know this. Oh my god, dude. He loses an eye or something. I totally remember that. I can't remember how it happens though. But yeah, it's like, so he goes around stealing the powers and such, and by the time he gets back, it's like, is not even a satisfying enough conclusion from all of that shit we just had to go through. Like, after all of the BS they just put us through with that, like, really kind of drawn out episode of him just completely going batshit, the conclusion just didn't justify that for me, because it wasn't satisfying enough. That sucked. But it was okay, but, like, that episode 13 was a fucking trip, and... It was the way the conclusion was, it didn't feel like it wrapped everything up as nice as I wanted it to, especially since, like, they forced us through that absolute trip of an episode with him just going around and stealing powers and getting a reputation around the planet. It's just bizarre, and it's almost completely out of nowhere. Like, the show didn't build up to this at all. So it feels really strange just to conclude the entire show in this way. Like, I don't know, like, I know it's like it had been building up to this point, like it had kind of been building up where it's like, you know, we're just trying to, you know, get rid of these powers because they're not really good for the people who have them. So, I mean, I guess you could argue that it's like been building up to just getting rid of all the powers as a whole, but like, I don't know, the way they handled it just didn't, like the way they, you know, he went around the world, you know, just stealing random people's powers. It just didn't quite sit right with me and didn't feel like a conclusion to the show we'd been presented to up until this point. Because not only that, but it also just didn't conclude much of the storyline with, you know, his family and his brother and sister. Like, that just kind of existed. And I wasn't quite on board with that. And then, finally, I'll talk about why the conclusion just didn't work for me. It was like, he comes back for, like, the 6th time in this show. Yuu wakes up in a hospital bed. And... you know, Nao's right next to him. Or is she right next to him? I don't know. Who cares? But
she is, I believe.
Yeah, she's chilling there, waiting for him to wake up. And when he does, it's like she's not even particularly excited to see him. She's just like, welcome back. And he's, you know, his memories are fucked. So he's like, who are you? And she's like, I am your girlfriend. Oh, wow, it's kind of satisfying. But then he's kind of crippling. He's like cripplingly disabled. And doesn't have any memories left. So it's like, I mean, he kind of remembers her because he still has the flashcards or whatever. But I don't know. It just felt so off because it's like they almost completely wiped the main character of his memories. Comes back and like the new girlfriend isn't even particularly happy to see him, or at least she doesn't show it.
No, see, I get Nao's attitude at this point because she knows how fucked his head is. And she knows if she overreacts and says, oh my god, I'm so glad you're alive, which she's not the type of person to do that. That's been presented throughout the whole show. But she knows, like, how damaged he is, that she's taking things at such a pace where she can just reveal, like, before all this happened, we're together. We are together. You kept those because I gave them to you, the flashcards, and I will take care of you, because she is upholding her promise, but she knows that overreacting won't do anything.
Yeah.
So that's why I think that, and she's also, like, as explained, literally the way she is presented throughout the entire show, to me, her reaction made sense. But it's still, like, in the sense of, like, a relationship that is building up, that conclusion, although it makes sense for Nao's character, it wasn't satisfying as a viewer. It's just like,
yeah.
He did the thing he said. She's saying they're boyfriend and girlfriend. Her reaction to it is still a bit weird, but it makes sense because he's fucking damaged and hurt and doesn't remember anything. So then they're going to build up everything from here. But then they just end it.
Yep.
And then it says, with no other ability users present in this world, you, Nao, Jojiro, Yusa, and Ayumi look forward to the memories they will make from now on. And it's like... okay, but you've taken everything from you. He's now, or at least he's now got his siblings back, and also, where is Takajo? Why isn't he there? Or is Jojiro Takajo's first name?
Is it Jojiro Takajo? No, bro.
Is it Jojiro Takajo? It is Jojiro Takajo. Okay, fair enough. So, yeah, the whole gang's there. Wait, hold on. Then where's the brother? Did the brother actually die?
No, he's
I'm
fine.
confused.
I looked him up on the wiki. He's all right.
He's fine. Okay, but I do recall the ending. They took a group photo with you in a wheelchair, and I think Nao was pushing it. Then Takajo, Yusa, so
Couple
Yusa's
moments.
still there. And then Ayumi and they're all there, and they get a group photo. But one thing I do remember, that happened before he fucks off and starts taking all people's powers, his encounter with Yusa. So they quickly take care of the fact that when he plunders Yusa's ability, Misa will never come back.
That's actually pretty nice, actually. I do like that.
They have to take care of that in a roundabout way, and I think Misa has like a confession or something. I don't know. I think Misa has a conversation with you saying, "Fucking take care of my sister" or something like that. I forgot, but the way they had to take care of that was interesting. But then he fucks off all around the world. Shout out, they showed Australia in the form of the Sydney Opera House for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
And then he continues to fuck off all around the world. And then he ends up in China. And the last ability user that he's encountering, I did kind of like that. It was a chick whose power, like a girl whose power was literally courage and standing up for people.
Cool.
That was sweet. But then, takes the powers, all the powers are in his fucking head, and then they have to inject him with vaccines. They have to inject him with a vaccine to get rid of the powers. So then they get rid of the powers, but he... He's not crippled because he had all the powers, it's because he had a vaccine. Oh no!
Shut up, Facebook moms. No one likes you, dude. Vaccines don't cause autism. You cause autism.
But no. So he's got amnesia basically, and all he remembers is that someone he cared about gave him the flashcards, and now says, "Bitch, that was me. We're lovers, and we're gonna make sure you recover your memories." And then the show ends.
Yep.
I got what they were going for. I think they could have dodged so much with the facility. Imagine if there wasn't a facility and it was just his brother that he's been imagining up until this point, which he only imagined twice, like dreamt of twice. But imagine if that was hinted at more. There wasn't a facility. He just comes in and says, "I'm trying to do what Nao's doing and take care of everyone's get rid of all the powers." And then imagine if they had a little arc trying to revive Yu's dormant power of plunder, and then they revive it, and then it's just like, all right, now you can take everyone's powers, but this is going to be a daunting task, mate. Are you up for it? And he's just like, I don't know. Maybe I don't know what I should do. And then there's a whole other arc about trying to give him the courage and realize this is the best way to fix everyone's problems. And he decides to fucking drop the ball and do it. Like, I reckon just everything with the time leap and the facility and the extra characters that were thrown in for no reason. Like, literally, there were characters thrown in during the escape of the facility just to give him OP as fuck powers so he could escape, return to the normal world, and have the ability to fucking run through walls. And it's just like, if those characters actually had interesting plots and an interesting backstory and weren't just cannon fodder for you, then I might have given a shit, but I didn't. It was just a reason. It was just a reason to give him a ton of powers.
It was a reason to cripple him again, make him feel.
Yeah. By the way, I've just read in episode 11. Yu goes to a factory to ransom for Nao and Kumagumi, but is attacked by a female ability user who slashes his right eye, preventing him from time leaping. So that's how he becomes the one-eyed.
There you go.
That's right.
Reasons.
But, yeah. Fuck. It was just so much could have been done, and so there was so much promise here. They were able to transition into his sister's death, everything about him being depressed, and bouncing back from that with the singer from Zahid. They were able to make that work, but I still think more time could have been given to all of that.
Yeah.
As well as this facility subplot. You can't go from a sitcom to that.
Yeah, no.
Like, it did not work at all. But regardless, I still really enjoy the anime. If anything, I'm just going to watch episode 8 on repeat because it just... I think episode 8 is its own self-contained story, and you can, like, because that's what they've been doing.
Yeah.
It's its own self-contained story, and you can just fucking watch that and get feels all around because of the messages they give. So, yeah. But yeah, that's overall opinion on the anime.
Yeah, it's just, oh man, it's a bit of a trip, especially the last few episodes. It just kind of left me a bit confused. But I mean, overall, it's really good. Like, it's an experience, right? It's an experience. It's a good experience for the first 8 or 9 episodes, or 8.5, really. But
and then it's like,
and then it's like, what?
Is a facility?
What? You wanna try? You wanna run that by me again, Chief? Because I am confuzzled. But, I mean, you know, for what it was, I think it probably could have been worse. So...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think just overall, like, if you want something interesting to watch that's got, you know, that's not just your stupid fucking, you know, trashy harem anime that we see all the goddamn time, if you want something that has some actual depth to it, Charlotte's a great way to do that while also getting a chance to see some pretty cute waifus. But I mean, especially if you don't care about how cohesive the plot is, but if you do care about that, then I don't know, maybe just watch the first 8 episodes or so.
This is in a weird, like, it's like if you want just a fun sitcom that makes shit that then hits you in the feels, then watch the first 9 episodes. Yeah. But then if you want to, it's like it's trying to have a comprehensive plot, but then it just rushes through everything.
It really does,
and it's like
it's such a shame too.
If you pay attention to every single minute and every single small hint at the future, like the 1 or 2 times Ayumi coughs, like in the camping episode, you wouldn't think much of it. You would think she's sick, but then it's like, oh no, she's gaining her ability and she's going to kill herself. It's like, you wouldn't expect that, but you kind of have to take every detail on board and then like fit the pieces yourself almost.
Yeah.
It's like, and they could have avoided that if they just gave it more time, or they split up and they made the pacing better. It's just, yeah.
It's a real shame because this had a lot of potential.
Yeah, it makes me sad.
Yeah. Agreed.
But just according to Wikipedia, the home of every valuable source of information, there was a small manga that was on just like that started just before the anime premiered. But I do believe the creator wrote the anime with a different continuity to the original manga that came out around the same time.
Interesting.
And then there was another manga that literally started just after the anime ended. So this guy, Jun Maeda, he was like dedicated to it for fucking ages, and like literally like started a small manga series at the same time the anime premiered, so the anime would have already been written.
Mm-hmm.
And then as soon as the anime ends, writes another manga based on it, which ended in February 2019.
Dang.
So I might check out the mangas, but I know they have different plots, I believe.
Interesting. So are they like, do they have the same characters, or is it just like a different...
They have the same characters, but I think it's... I'm trying to find synopsises of them.
That's interesting, though.
Yeah.
I wonder if the mangas are good.
I don't know. But one thing I do want to talk about before we continue is the music. they've legitimately released albums from the fictional bands they came up with.
That's kind of epic.
Yeah, so I found it again on Wikipedia in the section Music of Charlotte. So the supposed band or label or group that Yusa is a part of is called How Low Hello. So there's an album there's an album that's titled Smells Like Tea Espresso, released by How Low Hello. That's been released, and it's got 12 tracks on it, and that's pretty cool. So that's an actual album you can buy.
Wait,
the album I actually have on my iTunes and is the album Echo by Zahid. Zahid?
You've been calling it Zahid. Like, I was so confused. I was like, what the fuck?
I'm sorry, Zahid. That's a different word. The end is what I've meant to be saying this entire time. My apologies.
Hello?
Yeah. But the Echo album, they did 2 discs. One with all the songs in English and the other with all the songs in Japanese. Because I believe that the lyric... the
Motherfucker. How do you spell that?
How Low Hello?
Yes.
How do you think you spell
that? Is it HOWLOW?
HOW-LOW-hello.
Oh, dash hello. Wait, I might not be on Spotify.
Maybe it's not. But Echo is released on iTunes, and I've got it. And there's a Japanese version and an English version, because I think the girl that sung it, it was her. She sung it in Japanese and English. This one chick, and that's really cool. Like, the lyrics in English are somewhat broken, but it's still pretty cool. It's just, and I have the English album, and it's pretty good. And I think literally all the songs were. This is something else I like. Jun Maeda. He created Angel Beats, and he created all the music for Angel Beats as well. And Angel Beats is really heavy on music.
Yes.
And he also created all of the music for Charlotte, even the albums that were written.
That's kind of epic.
So not only did he write the show, he wrote all the music, which is really fucking cool.
Dang, that guy's fucking awesome.
He is. He has a knack for music and storytelling. That's why he blends them together. But the pacing of the shows.
Here we go.
The pacing needs to be better.
Wait, let's hear how broken it is. Oh, it's broken.
Yeah. I still like it.
It's kind of cool though.
They you understand what they're saying, but it's still somewhat broken. But
there's a Lisa song made for Angel Beats. Well, guess I'm watching that.
Yes, but I just wanted to give my appreciation to the music. I really enjoyed the music from this. Everything from the OP.
Goddamn, they're fucking incredible.
Like the OP and the ending and the entire Echo album is just really good.
Echo. Fuck.
Echo.
I cannot find it on Spotify. It saved my goddamn life.
It probably isn't.
Visual
on Spotify.
art / Motherfucker, it's not here. Okay, well, I found it on iTunes, so that's all that matters.
But yeah, unless there's anything else.
Another Lisa song. Anyway,
unless there's anything else you want to say, we've been talking for an hour and a half.
No, the ending is what just really threw me off. But again, if you do want something that has a little more depth than your everyday just trashy shit. When it comes to anime, this is definitely a pretty good experience. It's just a bit jarring, especially in the last half. But, the second half. But it's got a pretty solid cast of characters. Like the main cast is pretty compelling as a whole. Obviously, you have your comedy characters, but they're really well written as well. So I just, I don't even know what else to say. It's just it's really, it's so much up to you how you feel about it, because you might really like it, but I mean, I think we both agree that it was a bit strange, to say the least. So yeah, I mean, or the ending, that is, but the show as a whole is like is pretty dang good. So yeah, I just you have to, if you haven't, I mean, I don't know how you've gotten this far if you haven't seen it, but if you haven't somehow, it's just up to you, really. So, but if you have seen it, feel free to tell us what you think, because we are curious to know. Because I'm sure everyone's perspective on it is different.
Yeah. In America, it's on Crunchyroll. In Australia, it's on Anime Lab. Or, you know, any other website which has anime on it. So,
yeah. It is also on Hulu, if you have Hulu in America. It is also on Hulu.
Fuck Hulu.
I almost watched it on Hulu. But
oh, God.
Hulu has ads, and Crunchyroll
although the OVA isn't officially released anywhere on streaming services, it's probably like an OVA for a DVD bundle. It's pretty nice, but yeah, again, jarring at the end. But yeah, let us know what you think of the anime Shārotto and the music that came out of Shārotto in the comments down below. Yeah, if you want a good cast of characters, good cinematography, good music, and an interesting story that just goes off the deep end at the end, then yeah, Shārotto is, I reckon,
off the fucking high dive and doesn't come out.
He dies and he sinks.
Yeah, exactly.
But dude. I really enjoyed the anime for what it was, and it will stick with me like a lot of other anime, because like a lot of shows impact me and make me feel emotions, especially when it ends. And this is a rare anime that it hits me with emotions, but the ending doesn't hit me as hard as it should. But it still, it does its job. And I think you can take the time to appreciate what they're going for, and the plot and the premise and the characters. It's all got its good points. It's a shame the ending overshadowed what could have been something purely 10 out of 10, but yeah. Yeah. That's...
I was going to say, after some of the ideas you brought up, I'm like, why didn't you write this show, dude? Like, you should have written this show. Because they would have been paced so much better if it hadn't just been all squeezed into one big season.
Bro.
But,
I might just fanfic this shit with a better ending. You never know.
There you go, dude. That's what I'm talking about. Let's go. Wait, yeah, it's your outro, okay. But yeah, that's about it for Shārotto. In 2 weeks' time, we are going to be reviewing... Is Trinity 7 next, right?
I believe it's Trinity 7. And
so we're going to be reviewing Trinity 7, which is a big jump in a new direction from this one. So
yeah, I'm going to try my best to watch the movies and the OVAs as well, because I've seen season one
of them,
and one of the OVAs.
I can't remember. I think it might be the OVA, but one of them for Trinity 7, I can't remember who's. Maybe it was Lilith's grimoire, but Lilith's grimoire turns into a child, and it's like Arata and Lilith. It turns into It's like she becomes Arata and Lilith's daughter, and it's kind of the cutest thing ever. But dude, you just gotta trust me. It's adorable. You just like it's adorable. Anyway, we'll talk about that later. Yeah, your turn.
Yeah, thank you so much for watching. If you have anything you want to recommend, any questions, suggestions, or otherwise, send them to us through our email at firestormproductions2@gmail.com or in the comment section down below. Again, let us know what you think of the anime Shārotto, the music, anything you want to talk about. Let us know. We'll probably respond. And give us your opinions on the show.
Follow us on Twitter.
Follow us on Twitter at FireStormPod, where we talk constantly about our dicks and quarantine life.
Not just our dicks, but also dicks in general. But mostly our dicks.
In general. Mostly about how we're managing playing with our dicks during quarantine.
Yeah. So, which we are managing.
Well, somehow. It's a tough battle, but we've managed to fight through it.
Tough battle.
And anyway, thank you so much for watching, guys, and have a good one.
Bye.